Know the top stories of the day. Understand the issues that matter. This is Manila Bulletin News on Web. Your quick rundown of top news in the country and around the world. Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Be fully informed. Hi, I'm Barbie Atienza. This is MB Now, and here are your news on web. President Rodrigo Duterte gave the go signal to hospitals and wealthy Filipinos to purchase COVID vaccines on their own. But they must get the approval first of the Food and Drug Administration and the Department of Health. Our Malacanang senior correspondent, Jen Cabiling, has the details.
Ngayon, kung kayong mga hospital, mga doktor, o kung mga mayaman, gusto ninyo magbili ng inyo, go ahead. Do not wait for us. If you have the money, buy it. But dumaan ka lang sa FDA.
Those who can afford to buy vaccine do not have to wait for the government in the vaccine acquisition. This is what President Duterte said on his Monday's taped address aired on state television. Hospitals and rich people could secure their own coronavirus vaccine supply as long as these are approved by the country's health authorities.
We are not selling. We are buying for the people libre.
Duterte said those procuring the vaccines must also get the approval of Health Secretary Francisco Duque III, not vaccine czar Carlito Galvez Jr.
Hindi na dito kay Secretary Galvez. Huwag na sa kanya. Doon kayo sa FDA. And finally, doon sa Secretary of Health. Yung perma ng pinakamataas, importante yan. Yan ang totoo dyan. So make no mistake about it.
Duterte made clear that the government has not imposed on any individual or group which vaccine should be purchased. He said almost everybody he knows is actually scrambling to buy vaccines developed by Pfizer.
If you want to follow the experience of Norway, go ahead. Nobody would stop you. But this I can tell you, whenever prohibited anybody from buying from government.
The government is under fire over its alleged preference for the coronavirus vaccines developed by China's Sinovac Biotech, despite its alleged high cost and low efficacy rate. Around 25 million doses of the Sinovac vaccines have already been secured by the government, but the use of the supply will still be subject to the approval of the Food and Drug Administration. Authorities insisted that the vaccine dose costs less than 700 pesos and has shown efficacy in global clinical trials. Several local government units in the private sector have chosen to purchase 17 million additional vaccine doses from the British drug maker AstraZeneca. An initial 2.5 million doses have been secured in a deal sealed late last year. The supply deals were forged under a tripartite arrangement with the national government. Some lawmakers have asked the government to let the local officials as well as private companies purchase their own supplies without interference to hasten the vaccination of Filipinos. In a speech last week, the president said the national government would not meddle with the local government units that bought their own vaccine supply for their constituents. Duterte, however, made it clear that the vaccines must pass the scrutiny of the FDA to check their safety and efficacy. For MB Now, this is Jeneline Cabiling reporting.
President Rodrigo Roa Duterte admitted that he asked for assistance from Chinese President Xi Jinping about the country's vaccine supply early on and got an assurance of support. He cited that China has already promised to give 500,000 free vaccines to the Philippines when he recently met with China's top diplomat Wang Yi. President Duterte also bared amid the controversy over the government's purchase of doses developed by Sinovac. He said Xi told him that China is obligated to vaccinate its billions of citizens first. He observed that the vaccine supply might not even be sufficient to cover other provinces under the control of China. The government recently secured 25 million doses of vaccines developed by China's Sinovac Biotech, with the first 50,000 doses expected to arrive next month. The rest of the vaccine supply will be delivered from March until December. Some lawmakers have questioned the government's alleged preference for the Chinese-made vaccines despite their supposed high cost and low efficacy rate. The government, however, has defended the selection of Sinovac vaccines, saying every dose costs around 650 pesos and has shown efficacy in clinical trials abroad. The actual price of the vaccine could not be divulged yet due to an undisclosure agreement in the preliminary deal sealed with the supplier. The palace had earlier said the use of the coronavirus vaccine will still be subject to the approval of the Food and Drug Administration. It also committed to reveal the vaccine price once the contract of sale is sealed and its distribution approved.
I was assured as early as pag-umpisa nito ni President Xi Jinping na hindi kita kakalimutan. I will not forget your country. So, hindi kita kakalimutan. Sabi niya, do not worry. Nandito kahapon si Ambassador ng China, sinabi sa akin, merong darating, huwag kayong mag-worry.
President Duterte is ready to take the coronavirus shot once it is available, but his vaccination will not be held in public, Malacanang said Tuesday. According to presidential spokesman Harry Roque, the president has preferred to follow the British monarchs who were vaccinated in private. The president recently offered to be among the last to get inoculated against the coronavirus, saying he would let the poor and the vulnerable be given priority. Duterte said he and other cabinet members could be vaccinated when there will be supplies left. The palace later clarified that it was not impossible for Duterte to receive the first shot, if only to boost public confidence on the vaccination drive. Roque said the palace will still announce the president's vaccination once it is completed.
His answer was, no problem, I will take the vaccine as soon as it is available. Dahil siya nga daw po ay talagang kailangan niyang magkaroon ng bakuna. Pero ang sabi niya, hindi na kinakailangan ipakita ito sa publiko. He's taking the route of the British sovereign, no? Dahil naging decision po nila Queen at saka ni Queen Elizabeth at ang kanyang asawa na pribado yung pagtuturok sa kanila.
President Duterte pushed for the elevation of Lapulapu to the country's pantheon of Filipino heroes during the launch of a 5,000 peso commemorative banknote and silver medal in honor of his victory in the Battle of Mactan 500 years ago. In a taped message aired during the ceremony held at the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas complex in Manila, the president welcomed the production of Lapu-Lapu's commemorative items and expressed hope Filipinos would emulate his heroism. The issuance of the special banknote and medal was in line with the quincentennial commemorations in the Philippines that includes the 500th anniversary of Lapu-Lapu's victory in the Battle of Mactan. Lapu-Lapu, a chieftain of Mactan Island, fought and killed Ferdinand Magellan, who led the Spanish invading forces during the famous Battle of Mactan in 1521. The special 5,000 pesos banknote issued by the BSP features a portrait of a young Lapu-Lapu on the front with the images of the Philippine Eagle, Mount Apo, and a coconut tree shown on the reverse side. The Lapu-Lapu banknote, however, will not be for circulation according to the BSP. In Metro News, Parañaque City starts online pre-registration for free COVID vaccines. And refrigeration units for COVID-19 vaccine storage arrive in Manila. More from this report.
The Parañaque city government started today the online pre-registration for residents who wish to avail of the free vaccination against the coronavirus. Mayor Edwin Olivares said residents can visit his official Facebook page, scan the QR code to register. The Parañaque LGU is allocating an initial 250,000 pesos for the city's vaccination program. It signed an agreement with British-Swedish drug maker AstraZeneca on January 11 to purchase 200,000 doses of the vaccine. The city plans to inoculate up to 119,200 residents during phase 1 of their vaccination program that will cover frontline workers, uniformed personnel, persons with disabilities, senior citizens, and indigents. Some refrigeration units that will be used to store COVID-19 vaccines in Manila have arrived on Monday. Manila Mayor Francisco Escobar Dumagoso said that although it may take a few months before the vaccines arrive in the country, the city has to prepare for it with the necessary equipment. Each refrigeration unit is equipped with an interruptible power supply to ensure the integrity of the vaccines. The equipment will be placed inside the Manila COVID-19 vaccine storage facility at the Santa Ana Hospital, which are also equipped with a power generator. The Manila Mayor said they are set to inaugurate the 9 million worth storage facility by the end of January. Dumagoso has also expressed intent to buy vaccines from other biopharmaceutical companies to give the public more options. They are aiming to inoculate up to 60% of the city's population in the next 2 quarters.
Here are the top news in other parts of the country. Young police chief's arresting looks draws attention to Albay town. Gomez closes Ormoc's borders to pork coming from Mindanao. And Department of Agriculture in Caraga region on alert over African swine fever found in nearby Davao Oriental. Details in this report.
A newly assigned police chief in a town in Albay is currently going viral. The young police chief of Santo Domingo town in Albay has been drawing attention online ever since Santo Domingo Councilor Mark Aguas posted photos on the internet of Police Captain Ryan Flores. Flores assumed his post as Santo Domingo police chief on Monday, and as customary, he paid a courtesy call on Mayor June Aguas, and that was when the councilor snapped the photos. The post garnered various reactions from netizens. Some even said that they are planning to visit the town on the hopes of catching a glimpse of the new police chief in person. Mayor Aguas, on the other hand, said he was hoping that the arrival of the good-looking chief of police would translate into his constituents becoming more law-abiding citizens, particularly in following health protocols during the pandemic. Mayor Richard Gomez has closed the land borders of Ormoc City to live hogs and pork products from Mindanao upon the recommendation of the city veterinarian. This was after the Department of Agriculture found out that Abuyog Leyte, which is around 100 kilometers from Ormoc, reported its first confirmed case of African swine fever. The Department of Agriculture in the region has started calling hogs within a 500-meter radius of the affected farm in Abuyog in a bid to stop the spread of the infection. The Department of Agriculture in Caraga region, meanwhile, has raised the alert over the new cases of African swine fever that have been reported in Davao Oriental towns of Boston and Baganga. In an advisory issued Monday, the Department of Agriculture in the region called on Caraga residents to keep watch and join the agency in keeping the region free from ASF. As a preventive measure, live pigs and meat products from infected areas are still prohibited from entering the region.
In world news, a South Africa virus strain more contagious, experts confirm. Australia unlikely to open border in 2021, according to a health official. And Cyprus cats out in the cold as pandemic bites. Let's watch this.
A new variant of the coronavirus first identified in South Africa is more contagious than earlier versions, experts said on Monday, but there is no evidence that it is more deadly. According to epidemiologist Professor Salim Abdul Karim, the new variant is 50% more contagious. Fears over the new variant helped convince some airlines to limit flights into and out of South Africa. President Cyril Ramaphosa recently announced the arrival of more 20 million doses of vaccine over the next 6 months. Epidemiologist Abdul Karim said it was not yet known if the current vaccines would be effective against the new variant of the virus through several studies were going on. Australia's international borders are unlikely to open to travelers this year of coronavirus vaccines. Health Department Secretary Brennan Murphy, a key advisor on Australia's virus response, said free-flowing travel to and from the country was not expected to resume in 2021. Australia's border has been largely closed to overseas visitors since March 2020 to stem the spread of COVID-19, with a limited number of citizens and their families allowed to return each week. The country has secured access to both the Pfizer and Oxford-AstraZeneca vaccine, which the rollout scheduled to begin late February but still awaiting approval from the medical regulators. At a cat sanctuary set in picturesque hills near Paphos on the Mediterranean island of Cyprus, volunteers are grappling with the surge in abandonments they blamed on the coronavirus pandemic. Some among Cyprus' large expatriate and dual residence communities have retreated home as economic squeeze has tightened. Evidence of cats' domestication in Cyprus dates back further than anywhere else, including Parañaque, Egypt. In 2004, archaeologists announced they had unearthed the remains of a cat and a human deliberately buried together 9,500 years ago at the Neolithic village of Siluruku, Cambus.
In entertainment, Blackpink member Jennie Kim is now a huge hit on YouTube, garnering over 3 million subscribers merely 2 days after starting her channel on the platform. Jennie started her own YouTube channel last January 16. Her first vlog, entitled Hello World from Jennie, has already garnered 14 million views since it was uploaded. In the video, it shows the Blackpink rapper talking to her fans while having a good time singing a cover of When Will My Life Begin from the Disney movie Tangled. She also gave a tour of her house. The video currently sits at number 2 on the site's trending list with over 10 million views. And in sports officials are working to get clearance from the Interagency Task Force for the resumption of training of other athletes competing in the 2021 Southeast Asian Games set late November. National Training Director Mark Velasco said this is the first crucial step since only athletes preparing for Olympic qualifiers and the Tokyo Olympics are allowed to train at the moment. Velasco admitted other athletes are also racing against time for other competitions like the Southeast Asian Games, but they needed to settle everything first from the IATF before they could proceed. Velasco also added that once they get the IATF clearance, they will work on the other national sports associations on how they can conduct their own training. Velasco said actual training is expected to start within the week since most athletes are still waiting for the results of their PCR tests. And those are the news on Web today, January 19, 2021. For more news and details, get your copy of Manila Bulletin newspaper tomorrow or log on to www.mb.com.ph. Or you may also subscribe to our newsletter through the link in this video's caption to have the day's latest news delivered to your inbox. I am Barbie Atienza for Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Join us again tomorrow. Well, this has been MB Now. Be fully informed.